essence of what it was originally. And I think human beings, it's not a particular person. I just think we are probably wired that way. And so what I find the first step I have to do is to take away all these layers of complexity that people have built into their system.
So do you think then when you're assessing people's productivity and the systems they use and the complexities or the simplicities that they do or don't employ, do you think people feel like they're being productive when they're producing a system? So I could spend an afternoon like spring cleaning all my emails and getting down to inbox zero and doing all this kind of stuff. And I feel productive because I've done that, but I haven't actually done any work in that sense. All I've done is sat and deleted a load of emails to make it look like I'm at inbox zero now. I use that as an example, but like you mentioned before with your revision timetable, you enjoyed the timetable process, but the actual revision doing was
I hated that bit.
But that's a perfect example though of how you looked at your own system and was like, I like this bit, but I don't like that bit. So you must encounter it sometimes where people are like, oh, I've got this system. And you just said before, they build the house, they build the room, they put all the bits in it. And that's the enjoyable part. But actually doing the job is last on the list of things that you need to accomplish.
Well, yeah, this is another problem that I can often encounter where people it's usually because they're switching apps, hoping that the next app is going to be better than the original one.
Yeah.
But it's probably because they don't actually have an underlying system, and that's usually what causes that problem. But you're right, it does. The thing here is we've got 7 days in the week, and usually I take Sunday afternoon where I do exactly that. I clean up files, I delete stuff that has been used and doesn't need it anymore. But I have a specific time of the week when I do that.
Yeah.
So the rest of the time I'm focused on the work. Monday to Saturday, pretty much, I am focused on the work. And Sunday afternoon, I can sit down with a nice cup of tea for about 90 minutes and just clean everything up digitally.
Yeah.
And the feeling you have then on Monday morning is like you've got so much energy and you're ready to start. So actually it can be a benefit when you do that cleaning up. But if you're doing that cleaning up every single day, then that's when it's going to start hurting your productivity.
Yeah, because people feel like they're working when they're not actually producing results.
Yeah.
What's your own the biggest challenge that you've encountered with yourself in terms of it could be any time, whether it was coaching someone or putting a system in or even sticking to a system like that? Well, like we mentioned before, have you kind of been able to sit back and say, that's an issue for me personally?
Well, I've been doing this for probably nearly 30 years now, so I've probably ironed out most of those issues for myself.
Yeah.
So I don't really have any... I wouldn't say I have any productivity issues. The biggest problem I have is if I'm not getting enough sleep now, because I've recognized that if I haven't had my 6 hours, I just need 6 hours. But if I don't get those 6 hours, I know that the next day I'm going to be procrastinating.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll spend that little bit too long looking at Facebook, a little bit too long looking at Twitter. But like a day like today, absolutely brilliant. I had my 6 hours sleep last night, and I pretty much got all the important work done round about just after lunchtime for me. And that's a typical day now. But I have to be honest, you don't do that in a week. For me, it's taken like 30 years to get to that level. But everyone's going to come across problems, and they're going to come across barriers. Normally when I'm with my clients, it's a case of focusing them in on the collection part, get them really into the habit of collecting everything, because we have most people still trust their brains to remember things.
Yeah.
And, the brain is not it doesn't remember things very well, but it recognizes patterns well. So if you use the last of the milk in the morning when you make your morning cup of tea, and you go out to the house and you say to yourself, oh, I must remember to buy milk on the way home, your brain is not going to remind you as you walk past the corner shop.
Yeah,
it's going to remind you when you open the refrigerator and you realize there's no milk in there, because the brain recognizes the pattern is wrong.
Yeah, it's missing
and
something.
That's why it's missing something. So I've always said that the number one thing that I do with all my coaching clients is to get you into the habit of just collecting everything. You can decide later if it's useful to you, but just collect it all. It's the habit of collecting that really works.
So then, coming on from collecting, is there, as well as collecting, what would your top, say, 3 tips be for people who are busy rather than productive? What do you think what are the tips that you would say you need to change this habit, or you need to make sure you're doing this element to go from busy to productive and actually achieving what you want to achieve in a day, a week, a month, a year?
Well, the first thing we've got to recognize is that we are going to get distracted in the day. There are going to be emergencies, and we can't avoid them and we can't predict them, but they are going to happen. So I think one of the biggest problems people have is it's the expression, you're biting off more than you can chew.
Yeah.
So when they plan their day, they're trying to do too much in a day. And, you've got plenty of days. And so the number one tip I would give is spend a few minutes every day figuring out what tasks would have the biggest positive impact on the project or projects that you're working on right now, and do those first, because you're going to get distracted. Now, I have a system, I call it my 2+8, and basically what that means is you take 2 objective tasks, 2 things that you will definitely do today, come what may, and 8 other tasks that you would like to get done. Now, if you stick to having those 10 tasks in total, you can still handle all the distractions that are coming towards you, but those 10 things that you do will drive your projects forward. And that's why it really does work. A second tip I would give people is block 90 minutes each day for complete, undisturbed, focused work.
Is there a key to 90 minutes? Because I've heard this plenty of times where, and you've said it multiple times on your YouTube channel and things like that. Other productivity guys have said it. I've read it in articles. Is 90 minutes a sweet spot of you can concentrate for that long and then after that you're done? Or in 90 minutes you can achieve 4 hours worth of work? So if you can focus for that long, then that's the benefit of doing it.
Well, 90 minutes is I think it's just because it's a reasonable amount of time. If you didn't reply to a phone call, an email, or a message for 90 minutes, nobody's going to be upset, or should be upset.
Yeah.
And the other thing about the 90 minutes is it's long enough for you to really get deeply into something. And when you get really deep into something, I'm thinking of all the tasks that I've got on at the moment. I don't think there's anything that would actually take longer than 90 minutes to get pretty much completed.
Okay.
I think like a blog post that I write usually takes about an hour to write 1,000 words.
Okay.
And
what about YouTube and editing YouTube videos and filming? And do you find, because you've been doing it for so long now, do you find that you can do it in one hit and then you just add the extras in, or is there a lot of cutting and swapping and changing and editing involved in it?
The key to that actually is the planning process. It's when I in the afternoon, I record the videos on a Friday afternoon, but I've done the planning a few days before. So I can record the introductions to the videos, which is like the headshots, in less than an hour for 3 videos that I would do.
Okay.
And the screen casting, that takes a little bit longer, but again, I would say it takes about no more than 90 minutes to do 3 of those.
The
editing does take a bit longer, so I usually do that in 2 sets. I'll do probably a couple of hours actually on a Saturday afternoon, and maybe a couple of hours Sunday morning just to finish it off. But the 90 minutes is the key to the 90 minutes is if you did it in the morning, you've still got like an hour either side where you could deal with the distractions and the emergencies. And if you did it in the afternoon, you've got an hour either side to deal with emergencies and distractions. I think that's why 90 minutes seems to work. And also, after about 90 minutes of pure concentration, you are going to be tired.
Yeah, you're going to want a break.
Yeah, you're going to want a break.
So then, is there any other... Sorry, go on.
Yeah, there was a third one I've actually got, which this is the key to the whole system for me, is 10 minutes at the end of the day where I just collect everything together that I've collected, in my various inboxes. And I then make a decision on what the 2 things I'm going to do tomorrow. And I do it the night before, because when I wake up in the morning, I know exactly what I need to get started with.
Yeah, you have a clear goal for that day.
Yeah, because what happens is if you don't do that, you'll end up checking email first thing in the morning. And that can be a big time suck. And the problem with checking email is you look at it, and you look at the next one, then the next one, then the next one. And all that's happened is you've just opened the email. It's still in your inbox. And that's usually caused because of procrastination. So if you know exactly what you want to get done the next day, before you go to bed, wow, that really does give you so much momentum moving forward.
Do you find then with saying then that you have 10 minutes at the end of the day where you decide what you're going to do tomorrow, do you have I suppose a personal rule where you will get up in the morning and do that work and consciously not check email? Because that's one of the things as well. It works for some people, it doesn't work for others. Obviously, depending on your industry and your job and stuff like that. But to be able to get up and say, I'm going to leave my phone for an hour, 2 hours, and not check it till I've done X. Do you think?
Well,
do
the
that,
funny thing is,
off and on?
About 3 months ago, I started. I joined a guy called Robin Sharma, who's an amazing guy. He's an amazing YouTube channel, and he has this thing about he calls it the 5 a.m. club. Now, I've never been a morning person, and the thought of waking up at 5 a.m. in the morning was just ridiculous. But, I've watched a lot of his videos. I've read quite a few of his books, and it started really thinking, I should try this. Yeah. And I started it about 3 months ago, and my purpose for waking up in the morning is I need to get fluent in Korean. My wife is Korean and she deals with all the problems, but I think I should help her. So I decided to learn Korean. And you know what? I wake up at 5 a.m. I make a coffee. So I sit down about 5:05 in the morning, and I don't look at my phone until 6 a.m. And it's easy now. Okay. It wasn't when I first started, but now it's so easy. Because nobody else is awake at 5 a.m. in the morning. Only stupid people like me.
Do you know why?
But boy,
I used to get laughed at for that, because I generally get up between about 4 and 4:30 in the morning, and I train with a trainer of mine and get the gym and all this kind of stuff. And I've recently just got office space, so I go in. I'm in the office before probably just before 7 or just after 7 in the morning, and no one is there, and it is the best time of the day.
It is the best time.
It's crazy to say. I enjoy the office environment, and I enjoy meeting the new people who come in and out and go through and all this kind of stuff. But that time in the morning really it's my time to do the things I want to do or the things I need to do, and not be disturbed. Even with the kids and stuff like that, when I'm at home and I go to the gym and come home, the kids are not up, so I have a good chunk of time to do things, whatever them things may be. So I do agree with the early morning thing. It took some time.
Yeah, for me, I feel such an idiot now because I didn't discover it before, but I would never change it now.
Do you find still people
just
come
amazing.
at you what are you doing getting up at 5 in the morning, because they don't see the benefit of it? Or do you advise people to do it and they dismiss it, or are a bit, are you sure? Is that
to be honest with you, the people it would work for are the people who are generally complaining they never have enough time to do what they want to do.
Yeah.
Because that was what I was doing. I knew I had to learn Korean, And I kept saying, well, when I get home at night, I've got to do my admin. I've got to deal with all these emails and messages, which I love doing. There's no problem with that. And I thought, yeah, that's why I'm making an excuse.